The capture. The Pacific Ocean had always been Elisa's sanctuary. Floating on its surface with nothing but endless blue in every direction, she felt at peace. Today was supposed to be another routine dive to check on her coral restoration project. Another day of collecting data on ocean acidification's effects on marine ecosystems. Dr. Elisa Reeves adjusted her dive mask, checked her oxygen tank one last time, and slipped beneath the waves. At 38, she'd spent half her life underwater, first as a Navy combat diver and now as a marine biologist. The scars on her right shoulder and left thigh told stories of a past life she rarely discussed with her academic colleagues. The coral reef below was showing promising signs of recovery. Elisa documented the new growth with her underwater camera, swimming methodically along her predetermined grid pattern. That's when she noticed the strange light emanating from deeper waters, a pulsing blue-green glow that shouldn't be there. Protocol would dictate reporting the anomaly and returning with a proper team, but curiosity had always been Elisa's weakness. She adjusted her buoyancy and descended toward the light. As she approached, the glow intensified, seeming to reach out and envelop her. The water around her trembled, creating ripples that defied physics. Her last thought before losing consciousness was that she'd encountered something completely outside her scientific understanding, something impossible. Elisa awoke to cold metal beneath her cheek and the distant hum of machinery. Her diving gear was gone, replaced by a tight-fitting gray jumpsuit of unfamiliar material. The air smelled sterile, with an underlying metallic tang that reminded her of blood. She pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the throbbing in her temples, and assessed her surroundings. The cell was small but pristine. 3 metallic walls, and 1 transparent barrier that presumably served as a door. Beyond it stretched a corridor lined with similar enclosures, each housing a different being. Elisa blinked hard, certain she was hallucinating. In the cell across from her stood a creature resembling a praying mantis, if praying mantises grew to 6 feet tall and had iridescent exoskeletons. "You're finally awake," came a voice from nowhere and everywhere at once. Most species require sedation during transition. You've been unconscious for approximately 8 standard cycles. Elisa's military training kicked in. She controlled her breathing, kept her expression neutral. "Where am I? Who are you?" A chuckle, or what she interpreted as a chuckle, echoed through the cell. Always the same questions. "You're aboard the Galactic Crucible, human. The greatest combat tournament in 7 systems. You've been selected to represent your species." "Selected?" Elisa's voice remained steady despite the absurdity of the situation. "You mean abducted, kidnapped." "Semantics," replied the voice dismissively. "Your world is not yet part of the Galactic Concordat, so we must acquire specimens through alternative means. You should be honored. Your performance will determine whether your species is worthy of notice." Elisa approached the transparent barrier, studying the corridor beyond. "And if I refuse to participate, then you will be classified as defective and disposed of. The Crucible must proceed. There are wagers placed, alliances formed and broken based on the outcomes. It's far bigger than one reluctant participant." Over the next few days, if they were indeed days, as time seemed to flow differently here, Elisa learned more about her situation. The Galactic Crucible was a centuries-old tradition, part spectacle and part diplomatic tool. Species from across the known universe sent their champions to compete in trials of strength, speed, and cunning. Earth, being an unregistered planet, had its representatives taken by collector ships. Eliza wasn't the only human aboard. Through conversations with the guards, she learned that 3 others had been taken over the past year. None had survived their first combat trial. "Fragile creatures, humans," remarked a squat, blue-skinned guard as he delivered her daily ration of nutrient paste. "Too soft, too slow, too easily broken. The arbiters thought your aquatic adaptation might give you an advantage. But I doubt it'll make much difference." Elisa ate the tasteless paste without complaint. Let them underestimate her. Let them think she was just a scientist, soft from years in academia. They didn't need to know about her decade with naval special warfare. They didn't need to know she'd been part of operations in places that didn't officially exist, fighting enemies that weren't officially acknowledged. Most importantly, they didn't need to know about the Phoenix Division, at least not yet. In the adjacent cell, a crystalline being that called itself Enx communicated through patterns of light within its translucent body. Slowly, Eliza began to interpret these patterns, establishing basic communication. They will put you in the aquatic dome first. Enx flickered. That is their pattern with your kind. They believe water is your strength. And what is it, really? Eliza asked. A trap, came the reply. Crystal facets glowing amber. The water is filled with neural toxins that disorient most species. The Vrex that awaits you can filter these toxins through its gill membranes. Eliza nodded, filing away this vital information. Thank you. Do not thank me. Enx's lights dimmed to a somber blue. I merely wish to observe your response to inevitable defeat. My species finds your kind's emotional reactions fascinating. The day of Eliza's first trial arrived with the harsh blare of alarms. 2 guards, one blue-skinned, one with 6 limbs and compound eyes, approached her cell. Human, said the 6-limbed guard, prepare yourself for the aquatic dome. Your opponent is a Vrex warrior, champion of the Hydron Nebula. The odds of your survival are calculated at less than 8%. Always loved a challenge, Eliza replied with a calmness that visibly unsettled the guards. As they led her through winding corridors toward the sounds of a roaring crowd, Eliza's hand instinctively reached for her neck, seeking the comfort of dog tags that were no longer there. The aliens had taken everything she'd been wearing, except for one thing they hadn't found. The subdermal transponder implanted at the base of her skull, standard issue for Phoenix Division operatives. If anyone was looking for her, they'd find her. The question was whether they'd find her alive. The aquatic dome loomed before her, a massive hemisphere filled with water and surrounded by thousands of spectators of various species. As Eliza was led to the entry chamber, she noticed a small metallic object on a shelf. Her dog tags, apparently set aside as a curiosity by her captors. With a quick movement that her guards were too slow to prevent, she snatched them and slipped them around her neck. A token from your world won't save you, human, sneered the blue guard. Eliza smiled. It's not for salvation. It's for identification. So whatever's left of me after this can find its way home. The chamber door sealed behind her, and water began to fill the small space. As it rose past her waist, her chest, finally submerging her completely, Eliza Reeves closed her eyes and recalled her training. The Phoenix Division hadn't spent millions turning her into a weapon just for her to die in an alien fishbowl. The water reached the top, and the front panel slid open, revealing the vast dome beyond. And the Vrex warrior waiting at its center, 6 powerful fins propelling its serpentine body through the water with terrifying grace. The crowd roared as Eliza swam forward, a seemingly fragile human facing a born predator. What they didn't realize was that another predator had just entered the water, one who had hunted in Earth's oceans long before she ever studied them. The revelation. The Vrex warrior circled Eliza with predatory precision, its long, eel-like body rippling through the water with effortless power. 6 eyes positioned around its wedge-shaped head gave it perfect 360-degree vision, while razor-edged fins cut through the water like blades. The creature was nearly 15 feet long, its scales shifting colors from deep purple to electric blue depending on how light hit them. From the underwater speakers came the announcer's voice, translated into a dozen languages simultaneously. Behold the might of the Vrex champion, Calfax, undefeated in 87 consecutive trials. And facing this apex predator, we have a human female. Place your wagers now, though I suggest not wasting your credits on the soft-skinned Earth creature. Laughter rippled through the audience. Eliza ignored it, focusing on her opponent and the environment. The neural toxins Enx had warned her about would be in the water already, But her Phoenix Division enhancements included specialized filtration implants in her lungs and bloodstream, designed for deep-sea operations in contaminated waters. The Vrex's advantage had just been neutralized. Calfax made the first move, lunging forward with jaws extended to reveal 3 rows of needle-like teeth. Eliza waited until the last possible moment before twisting sideways, using the Vrex's momentum against it. As the creature shot past, she grabbed one of its trailing fins and used it to propel herself onto the beast's back. The crowd's laughter turned to murmurs of confusion. Riding the thrashing Vrex was like trying to stay on a nuclear-powered submarine during a hurricane. Eliza clung to the ridge of bony protrusions along its spine, searching for the vulnerable point that had to exist on any living being. The creature rolled, trying to dislodge her, but Eliza's legs locked around its body with a strength that shouldn't have been possible for a human. In the observation booth high above the dome, Arbiter Zorn leaned forward, compound eyes narrowing. "This is unexpected. Scan the human again." His assistant, a spindly being with too many fingers, manipulated the controls. "Scanning, Arbiter. Initial readings show elevated muscle density and unusual neural patterns. There's something in her bloodstream neutralizing our toxins." "Impossible," Zorn hissed. "Humans are primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Nevertheless, Arbiter, she's not behaving like our previous human specimens." Back in the dome, Eliza had identified a cluster of nerve endings at the base of the Vrex's skull. One precisely delivered strike there would incapacitate the creature without killing it. An important distinction, as she determined from overheard conversations that killing one's opponent was considered dishonorable in first trials. With a surge of enhanced strength, she drove the edge of her hand into the precise spot. The Vrex's body went rigid, then limp, floating motionless in the water. Silence fell over the arena. "Though the human has defeated Calfax," the announcer stammered, disbelief evident even through the translation filter. "This is unprecedented." As Eliza swam to the exit platform, she noticed her dog tags had floated out from beneath her jumpsuit during the struggle, now visible for all to see. The titanium alloy tags caught the light, the embedded holographic phoenix emblem briefly flashing its characteristic flame-orange pattern. In the observation booth, the assistant zoomed in on the tags. "Arbiter, look at the identification marker. That symbol. It matches records from intercepted Earth transmissions. She's Phoenix Division." "Explain," demanded Zorn, suddenly wary. "Phoenix Division is a human military unit, highly classified. They're rumored to have ended the Proxima Centauri conflict single-handedly, and intelligence suggests they were behind the fall of the Tau Ceti military junta. If she's Phoenix," the assistant's many fingers trembled over the controls, "we may have made a significant miscalculation." Word spread quickly through the station. By the time Eliza was returned to her cell, dripping water and breathing easily despite having been submerged for over 30 minutes, the attitude of the guards had shifted noticeably. "The council wishes to interview you," the blue-skinned guard informed her, keeping a safe distance from the cell barrier. "I'm not interested," Eliza replied calmly, wringing water from her hair. "It wasn't a request, human. Neither was mine." Eliza smiled, a predator's smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Tell your council that if they want to talk, they can release me and the other competitors. Then we can have a diplomatic conversation." In the cell across from hers, the mantis-like creature that had previously ignored her existence now watched her with what appeared to be respect. "You are not what they expected." It clicked in its native language, which Eliza's translation implant rendered into comprehensible English. "Nobody ever expects much from humans," Eliza replied. "It's worked to our advantage." The crystalline being Enix flickered brightly from the adjacent cell. "Your performance was anomalous. The patterns of your movements suggest formal combat training beyond what your species should possess." "Should possess according to whom?" Eliza asked, stretching muscles that weren't even sore despite the intense battle. The same experts who thought we'd be easy prey. Throughout the station, footage of the humans' unexpected victory was being analyzed. In diplomatic chambers, military briefing rooms, and gambling dens, the same question echoed. What else didn't they know about humans? Arbiter Zorn convened an emergency meeting of the Crucible Council. "We have a situation," he began without preamble. "The human female bears the mark of Phoenix Division." The council members, representing 12 different species and twice as many political interests, erupted in overlapping conversations, a tall, gray-skinned being raised a hand for silence. "If this information is accurate," said Councillor Vex, "we must reconsider our classification of Earth. The Phoenix Division's involvement in the Arcturus incident suggests technological capabilities far beyond what we assumed." "The Arcturus incident is unconfirmed," objected another councillor. "This one, a gelatinous mass contained within an environmental suit. Merely rumors." "I was there," Vex replied quietly. "What they did to the hegemony fleet, it wasn't conventional warfare. One ship, one human ship, against 17 cruisers. When it was over, only the human vessel remained." Silence fell over the chamber. "What do we do with her?" asked Zorn finally. "Protocol dictates she continues through the trials," said the gelatinous counselor. "We cannot alter the crucible for one participant. And if she continues to win?" Vex challenged. "What if she reaches the final tier? The prize includes access to our central database, recognition for her species." "Then perhaps," said a voice from the back of the chamber, "that is exactly what should happen." All eyes turned to Elder Thune, the eldest member of the council, whose species had been spacefaring when most others were still discovering fire. "We have avoided direct contact with Earth for too long, basing our judgments on intercepted communications and occasional abductions. If this Phoenix soldier can reach the final tier through honorable competition, it may be time to acknowledge humanity properly." Back in her cell, Eliza sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed in meditation. To anyone watching, she appeared to be processing the stress of her ordeal. In reality, she was activating her transponder, sending a precisely coded pulse that would be detectable only to Phoenix Division sensors. "I'm alive. I'm on a space station that appears to be a combat arena. Multiple alien species. Advanced technology. No immediate threat to Earth, but significant intelligence opportunity. Proceeding with caution." The pulse went out, racing through subspace to Earth, 43 light-years away. Thanks to Phoenix Division's quantum entanglement communication system, the message would arrive instantaneously. The response, however, would depend on whether anyone was listening. As night cycle fell across the station, lights dimming to simulate darkness, Eliza opened her eyes to find NX's crystalline form glowing softly in the adjacent cell. "You've changed the equation," the being flickered. "The Council fears what you represent." "Good," Eliza replied simply. "Fear is often the beginning of respect." "Or the catalyst for elimination," NX countered. "Not all on the Council share Elder Thune's perspective. Some advocate for your immediate disposal. They're welcome to try." Eliza touched her dog tags, the cool metal a reminder of who she was and what she was capable of. "But they should know that humans don't die easily. And we never die alone." High above the station, undetected by the Crucible sensors, a small anomaly appeared in space, a ripple that lasted less than a second before disappearing. Had anyone been looking precisely at that spot with the right equipment, they might have detected the quantum signature of an observation drone, the first reconnaissance element of what would soon become Operation Homecoming. Phoenix Division had received Eliza's message, and they were coming for one of their own. The Alliance. Dawn cycle brought new activity to the detention block. Guards moved with heightened alertness, weapons drawn as they escorted a delegation of council officials through the corridor. They stopped before Eliza's cell, where she sat calmly on the floor, seemingly unbothered by their presence. Phoenix operative addressed the lead figure, a tall being with gray skin and eyes like polished obsidian. "I am Councillor Vex. Your performance yesterday is prompted. Reconsideration of your status. Eliza rose to her feet with fluid grace. My status is clear. I'm a prisoner, taken against my will, and forced to fight for your entertainment. That violates at least 7 interstellar conventions that I'm aware of. And those are just the ones Earth has theorized might exist. A ripple of discomfort moved through the delegation. Vex's expression remained impassive. You misunderstand our purpose. The Crucible is not merely entertainment. It is how we evaluate species for inclusion in the Galactic Concordat. Those who demonstrate valor, honor, and capability earn the right to join our community of worlds. By kidnapping their citizens, Eliza challenged. By traditional means, Vex corrected. When a world reaches a certain technological threshold but has not yet achieved unified government and stable interstellar relations, the Crucible serves as a controlled introduction to the greater galaxy. Eliza laughed, a sound that seemed to unsettle the officials. So instead of sending diplomats, you abduct random individuals and force them to fight for their lives. That's not an introduction, it's a hostage situation. The gelatinous counselor gurgled in what the translation rendered as indignation. Your perspective is limited by your primitive understanding. The Crucible has brought peace to 73 solar systems over 12 millennia. And how many species failed your test? Eliza asked quietly. How many were deemed unworthy because they couldn't survive your games? Silence answered her question. Nevertheless, Vex continued after an uncomfortable moment. You have proceeded to the next tier of trials. Today you will face the Labyrinth Challenge, alongside others who have advanced. Cooperation is permitted in this phase, though only one can ultimately claim victory. After the delegation departed, the mantis-like creature in the cell across from Eliza's clicked its mandibles to get her attention. They fear you now, it observed. That gives you power. And you are? Eliza asked. I am Screeve of the Mantodian Collective, the creature replied with a formal bow. Second-rank warrior of the Southern Hive. I too have advanced to the Labyrinth Challenge. Congratulations, Eliza said. Though I'm not sure congratulations is the right word when we're being forced to participate. It is an honor nonetheless, Screeve insisted. The Labyrinth will test more than combat prowess. It will test intelligence, adaptability, and yes, the capacity for alliance. Enx's crystalline form glimmered from the adjacent cell. I have also advanced. This will be illuminating. When the guards came to escort them to the labyrinth, Eliza noticed they maintained a greater distance from her than before. Fingers hovering near weapons they seemed reluctant to actually draw. Word of Phoenix Division's reputation had spread throughout the station. Amplified, no doubt, by rumors and speculation. The labyrinth occupied an entire level of the station, a massive maze of shifting walls, environmental hazards, and strategic objectives. Viewed from the spectator galleries above, it resembled a complex circuit board, paths lighting up or going dark as walls moved and conditions changed. Eliza, Enx, and Screeve entered from different points, along with 17 other survivors from the first trials. The rules were explained via omnipresent speakers. Reach the center of the labyrinth, claim the prism key, and exit within 10 hours. Environmental conditions would shift randomly. Alliances were permitted but discouraged by the single victor rule. As Eliza navigated the early sections of the maze, she cataloged the hazards she encountered: gravity fluctuations, temperature extremes, sections flooded with various liquids ranging from water to something acidic that ate through the floor. Her Phoenix enhancements allowed her to adapt to most conditions, but even she had limits. 2 hours in, she encountered Enx struggling in a high-gravity section, the crystalline being's normally graceful movements reduced to a laborious crawl. You should leave me. Enx flickered weakly. Alliance is illogical when only one can win. Who says I'm forming an alliance? Eliza replied, helping the being through the high-gravity zone. Maybe I just don't like leaving someone behind. Once they reached normal gravity, Enx studied her with facets that pulsed with curious light patterns. Your actions contradict optimal strategy. Humans rarely follow optimal strategy, as defined by others, Eliza explained. We have a tendency to rewrite the rules. They progressed deeper into the labyrinth, soon encountering Screeve battling a security drone, one of many automated defenders programmed to eliminate competitors. With coordinated precision, Eliza and Enix joined the fight, disabling the drone through combined efforts. Now we are three, Screeve observed, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. A tactical unit with complementary capabilities. For now, Enix cautioned, remember the final rule. As they navigated further challenges together, Eliza learned more about her temporary allies. Screeve had been selected as a representative of his hive, volunteering for the Crucible to bring honor to his colony. Enix, by contrast, had been exiled from their crystalline collective for exhibiting what they called deviation behaviors, essentially too much individuality. So you're here because you think too independently? Eliza asked as they paused in a safe chamber to rest. My kind values perfect synchronization of thought. Enix explained, lights pulsing softly. Questions are considered flaws. I asked too many. In the observation deck, council members watched this unlikely alliance with growing interest. The human builds connections quickly, noted Elder Thune. Observe how she adapts her strategy to complement the other's abilities. It's manipulation, argued the gelatinous counselor. Phoenix operatives are known for psychological warfare. Or perhaps, Vex suggested quietly, it's simply cooperation, a concept some on this council have forgotten in their pursuit of dominance. The labyrinth's center revealed itself after 7 grueling hours, a chamber containing a floating crystal, the prism key, surrounded by a field of shifting energy barriers. Only one person could approach the key at a time, according to the chamber's design. This is where our alliance ends, Enix stated, lights dimming to a cool blue. Logic dictates we now compete. Screeve shifted into a combat stance. It has been an honor navigating with you both, but my hive requires this victory. Eliza studied the chamber, then surprised both by stepping away from the entrance. Take it, she told Screeve. Your hive needs this more than I do. The Mantodian froze in confusion. You? Concede. I'm not here to win your game, Eliza explained. I'm here because I was taken against my will. Winning the Crucible isn't my objective. Understanding why humans are being abducted and what happens to the ones who don't survive. That's my mission now. In the observation deck, the council erupted in confusion. This wasn't how the Crucible worked. Competitors fought to the end. They didn't concede tactical advantages. What is she doing? Demanded the gelatinous counselor. Elder Thune leaned forward, eyes narrowing. She's changing the game. Enix's crystalline form pulsed with rapid patterns of light. Your decision defies strategic logic. It follows a different logic, Eliza replied. On Earth, we have a saying. Sometimes you can win a game by refusing to play by its rules. As Screeve cautiously approached the prism key, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. The viewing screens above the labyrinth flickered, displaying a tactical readout of the space surrounding the Crucible station. A ship had appeared, seemingly out of nowhere, directly off their port bow. Unidentified vessel, came the automated defense systems announcement. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself or be fired upon. A response came through on all communication channels simultaneously, overriding the station's security protocols with ease. The voice was calm, precise, and unmistakably human. This is Captain Alejandro Reyes of the Earth vessel Prometheus. We have detected one of our citizens aboard your station. Prepare for diplomatic contact or retrieval. Your choice. In the labyrinth's central chamber, Eliza smiled, touching her dog tags. The transponder had worked. Phoenix Division had found her, and true to form, they hadn't come alone. The alliance she'd formed inside the labyrinth suddenly seemed small compared to the alliance Earth was about to propose to the galaxy at large. One way or another, the games were about to change. The reckoning. Chaos erupted throughout the Crucible station. Emergency protocols activated, security bulkheads sealed, and defense systems armed themselves. All standard responses to an unexpected arrival. What wasn't standard was the complete failure of those defense systems to get a weapons lock on the Earth vessel. In the Council's emergency chamber, tactical displays showed the Prometheus hovering impossibly close, its hull reflecting the station's scanning beams without revealing any technological details. How did they find us? Demanded the gelatinous counselor, environmental suit bubbling with agitation. How did they bypass our sensor grid? Vex pointed to a replay of Eliza's victory in the aquatic dome. The dog tags. They must contain a quantum-entangled transponder. The technology is theoretical in our research, but not theoretical for them. Obviously, Elder Thune interjected. We have significantly underestimated human technological development. On the Prometheus, Captain Alejandro Reyes stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back as he studied the massive structure of the Crucible station. At 52, Reyes was a veteran of both Earth conflicts and first contact scenarios. His silver-streaked black hair and the scar running along his jawline spoke of experience hard-won. Tracking confirms Dr. Reeves is aboard, sir, reported his tactical officer. Biosignature matches her Phoenix profile. She appears to be in a central section of the station, accompanied by two non-human entities. Life signs? Reyes asked. Stable. Her implants are functioning normally. Reyes nodded. Open a direct channel to whoever's in charge over there. Let's see if we can resolve this without tactical intervention. Back in the labyrinth's central chamber, Eliza, Enx, and Screeve listened to the station-wide announcements with varying reactions. Screeve's antennae twitched in concern, while Enx's crystalline form pulsed with rapid analytical patterns. Your people have found you, Enx observed. This changes probability significantly. Your ship, Screeve clicked nervously. It appeared without transition. Our most advanced vessels require deceleration phases from hyperspace. Eliza smiled. Quantum displacement drive. Technically, we didn't travel here. We rearranged space so that here became where we already were. Both aliens stared at her. That's impossible. Enx flickered intensely. Such technology would require manipulation of fundamental universal constants. Impossible is just a word for something you haven't figured out yet, Eliza replied. Now I suggest we make our way to the exit. Things are about to get complicated. In the council chamber, a holographic representation of Captain Rice appeared, standing tall and unintimidated despite being surrounded by representatives of 12 different species. Greetings, he began formally. I'll be brief. You have abducted a citizen of Earth, specifically, a Phoenix Division operative with level Alpha clearance. This constitutes an act of war under Earth Unified Protocol. However, we prefer peaceful resolution when possible. Your threats, began the gelatinous counselor, but Reyes cut him off with a raised hand. Not threats, options. 1. You release Dr. Eliza Reeves and all other human captives immediately, and we depart peacefully. 2. You refuse, and we extract our people by force, which would be regrettable for all involved. 3. You recognize this situation as an opportunity for formal diplomatic relations between Earth and your galactic concordat. Elder Thune stepped forward. Captain Rice, I am Elder Thune of the Council. Your arrival is unexpected, but perhaps fortuitous. The Crucible has existed for millennia as our method of evaluating species for inclusion in our community. Kidnapping and forced combat is not a diplomatic approach we recognize, Rice replied evenly. Different cultures, different traditions. Thune countered. Your Dr. Reeves has performed admirably in our trials, demonstrating human resourcefulness and capacity for alliance building. These are traits we value. Vex joined the conversation. What Elder Thune is attempting to convey is that we may have erred in our approach to Earth. The Crucible tradition predates our contact with any species possessing your level of advancement. Then perhaps, Rice suggested, it's time for tradition to evolve. Meanwhile, Eliza led her unlikely alliance through the labyrinth's exit passages. Their progress was complicated by the station's lockdown, requiring creative solutions to bypass sealed bulkheads and security checkpoints. "Your ship?" Crave asked as they worked to override a door mechanism. "Will it take us all?" Eliza looked up, surprised. It was all. Anx's lights pulsed rapidly. "We have formed a tactical unit. Logic suggests maintaining this arrangement would be beneficial if major structural changes are occurring in the Crucible hierarchy." "You want to come with me," Eliza clarified. "To Earth. I cannot return to my collective," Anx explained. "Deviation behavior is punishable by dissolution." Crave clicked his mandibles nervously. "And I have failed my mission. The Hive does not accept failure." Eliza hadn't considered this possibility. These beings had been her competitors, then reluctant allies. Now they were asking for asylum. What would that mean for Earth's first formal interactions with alien species? "I can't promise anything," she said carefully, "but I'll speak with Captain Reyes. The Phoenix Division has protocols for unusual diplomatic situations." They'd reached the detention block to find it already in disarray. Other competitors had taken advantage of the confusion to attempt their own escapes. Guards struggled to maintain order as alarms continued to blare throughout the station. In one cell, Eliza spotted another human. A young man, perhaps early 20s, curled in the corner in a protective posture. He flinched when she approached the barrier. "Hey," she called softly. "I'm Eliza Reeves. I'm human, like you. We're getting out of here." The young man looked up, disbelief and hope warring in his expression. "Real? You're real." "Very real," she confirmed, working to disable the cell barrier. "What's your name?" "Marco," he replied, voice cracking. "Marco Suarez. I was studying astrobiology in Brazil when they took me. That was, I don't know how long ago." "Well, Marco," Eliza said as the barrier deactivated, "how would you like to go home?" They gathered 4 more humans from the detention block, all recent abductees who hadn't yet been forced into the Crucible trials. Each told a similar story, taken while alone, usually in remote locations, awakening aboard the station with no explanation. As they made their way toward the docking bay, where a Prometheus shuttle was attempting to establish a connection, Eliza's group encountered Arbiter Zorn and a contingent of guards blocking their path. "This is not the protocol," Zorn hissed, compound eyes reflecting the emergency lighting and fractured patterns. "Crucible participants do not leave until the cycles are complete." "Protocol has changed," Eliza replied calmly. "Your council is currently